Thanks for staying with us. Now on to the next discussion. The federal government of Nigeria says it is not taking for granted the warnings it received on the influx of ISIS members into the country.
The country has beefed up security at major airports and the deployment of more senior security operatives to head security at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos Police Command, which is the busiest airport in the country.
The government says it is also taking other counter-terrorism steps to ensure that Nigeria is safe and secure and does not become a training ground for terrorists. Some security experts have said that the threat of ISIS infiltrating the country was more real now that they are losing their foothold in Syria, Yemen, Libya and Iraq.
Now, warnings issued by the United States and the United Kingdom that ISIS is sending persons who will train Boko Haram fighters who will later infiltrate European countries and carry out attacks is spurring the country to take a closer look at its security operation.
We have joining us at this time retired Army Colonel and now security consultant Hassan Stan Labo with us in the studio. Thank you for joining us, Colonel. All right, the threat of ISIS, it seems to be more visible now than ever. You know, Nigeria is having to battle this developing problem with other issues already at the tipping point in the country. You think the government will be able to handle this effectively?
Yes, of course, we will be able to handle it if we show enough commitment into doing that. If we have increased synergy amongst the security agencies and if we stop making our country attractive to ISIS influx and so on, you know, making sure that we come down heavily on religious extremism or extremism of any form at all, you know, making sure that sanctions are visited upon people who commit crimes and want to hide under the disguise of religion and things like that. And if the state itself stops promoting religion, you know, there are lots of steps we can take to make sure that we make our country unattractive to all this.
Well, you talk about making the country unattractive to terrorist elements. Would you like to, would like you to mention some of the steps we can take to make the country unattractive to terrorist elements beyond the security agents?
We look at our borders, for instance. You know, there's so much laxity in our borders, and the borders are just too lax. You know, it's quite easy to pass through our borders. You could do a trial yourself. I've done it since leaving service. When I went into, immediately I went into my security practice, and I confirmed a lot of things about the porousness of our borders. You know, and way back, arms were passing through the borders through bags of rice and what have you. Today they move even in lorries, unchecked.
And apparently some of them come through the legal borders where customs would check some of them, but some of them easily get into the country.
Some of the legal borders are beginning to look like illegal borders. The point is that we've got to be serious as a nation about security. We pay too much lip service to security. Too much. I'm in the security sector, I know what I'm saying.
And apparently that's also one of the reasons that the president made reference to herdsmen also infiltrating the country through Libya after the war in Libya, that some of them
when the president made that statement, was it in the US or in the UK?
Yes, US.
Some of us were actually feeling that no, these things are within. Today, I believe the president 100%, okay? We are having infiltrations from ISIS into this country. In fact, Boko Haram, as we speak, has a training program with ISIS.
Exchange program.
Exchange program with ISIS, as we speak. ISIS elements come into this country, infiltrate us, train some Boko Haram elements, whom they also still export to commit all sorts of atrocities in parts of Europe and so on. And why some of them too remain here embedded and carry out all sorts of atrocities. And I keep saying something all along, and I think it's gradually, unfortunately, we are gradually getting into that. There are still sectors within our economy or sectors within the country which terrorists are yet to visit. One, the rail sector is yet to be visited. The aviation sector is yet to be visited. Our water boards, where we have our water, where water is supplied, and where today most of us survive on boreholes.
Okay, thank you
so
for putting
that might save us. There are lots of areas where these guys are yet to touch. How much of protection have we brought to bear on these places? I mean, how much of hardening of these targets have we commenced? Or we are waiting for it to happen? Then we start our usual fire brigade action
without taking proactive measures. It seems to be
the normal narrative, really, the sad narrative anyway. And it seems the worrisome part of it, you know, talking about that exchange program among these terror groups, is that ISIS gets to send its own members to Nigeria as well for Boko Haram to train. Now, so many questions come into play. How do they get in easily when they fly? Are proper checks carried out? Are officials that are supposed to carry out these checks on their papers before they're allowed into the country, do they look at the dotted lines or look below the line to even check the necessary things?
I just came in from Abuja, where I was involved in a security sector reform workshop. What I saw at the airport, I was not impressed, both here in Lagos and even the same Abuja airport.
What did you see?
I could easily introduce myself and walk through. Yes. Even the five-star hotel, I don't want to mention it so that I don't spoil anybody's business. I stayed in one of the best five-star hotels in Lagos where we were lodged because it was a Geneva-based organization that was putting this together. So they took good care of us. The hotel where I lodged in, I was not impressed with the security situation I saw there. And I shook my head. We are still at this level? Then it is unfortunate.
So it's easy for foreigners to come into the country and
my God.
hide without being seen?
I am impressed with the sort of security situation I see at Sheraton Hotel, Ikeja, Lagos. I'm impressed with what I see at Federal Palace. I'm impressed with what I see at
Please don't mention names because of
No, the ones I'm impressed with, I will
mention. Because if you don't mention names of
the
those,
ones I don't mention,
just, join the lines.
If I don't mention any, I have not spoiled your business. And nobody knows you. Okay? But where I am impressed, I can say, look, I think I'm impressed. Frankly speaking, we are yet to be serious in this country. And I think the government is not carrying out its supervisory role. The relevant ministries, that should be Ministry of Tourism and so on. I think that's where all these leisure outfits fall under. The five-star hotels are under leisure sector. That's tourism. They are not doing their job at all. There isn't enough supervision.
And you remember...
There are lots of private security outfits out there that you can go for consultation. There are consultants all over the place whom you can invite in to tell you what to do. 2 or 3 years back, when we were having this same type of conversation here, some of us came together as consultants and put together a training arrangement which we tried marketing to most of the five-star hotels within Lagos. The intention was to do it in Lagos and Abuja. The response was so poor that we had to put it off.
So there is need for collaboration among the security...
Yes, there is a need for collaboration, and of course some companies could go about it all on their own, because some of these companies we are talking about, like mine, all have what do I call it, partners, okay, abroad, who could come in with some equipment and so on. The fact is that how serious are these establishments we are talking about hardening their organizations?
Security measures.
Yes. How serious are they? We are all just so relaxed. Boko Haram cannot get to Lagos. ISIS is already all over this country.
And you remember in 2006...
I know what I'm saying.
Some were arrested recently.
Yes. ISIS is already all over. Their sleeper cells are already all over the place.
But you know, the defense headquarters...
okay. We should be watching out for things like wolf actions.
Yeah.
Lone wolf actions.
In the wake of this report, the defense headquarters came out to say that Nigeria is not under any threat from the Islamic State. So is there a sense we can, believe that or take that to the bank?
I can understand government position not to maybe want to roughen citizens or make citizens feel insecure. As a professional in my practice, I cannot come here and say things.
But that was the acting director of information of Defense Headquarters that made that statement. Though the minister later on, Dan Ali later on,
my establishments at Hicks Security Consultancy, I'm entitled to my views. I'm a different establishment, and I'm speaking for my organization, for my outfit, as a consultant, and with evidence of what I've seen on ground.
And in 2006, you remember as well that the Al-Banawi faction pledged loyalty to ISIS.
To ISIS, good.
So there is a sense in which we must take this very seriously.
I hope we are also aware that ISIS has now appointed Al-Banawi as the leader of Boko Haram in Nigeria. And I hope we all know the danger that poses to us.
And that was what they said was on the backdrop of that the exchange program started anyway. Just to put that out there. And that's why they've been training their members interchangeably. Now,
Al-Banawi is a more organized fellow.
Colonel,
He's a more dangerous fellow. He does not kill females or children. He goes for Christians. He goes for combatants. He goes for males. He goes for churches. Not children, not women. And
putting all that in mind, Colonel, Khan came out earlier in June to say that the federal government has given directive that the radicalized members of Boko Haram should be recruited into the military and into the police, though the government has never come out to debunk it. If true, would that be the way to go, knowing that terrorism is an ideology?
We should be careful the way we release those I want to call prisoners of war, PWs, from the other side, that is from the Boko Haram side. We should be very careful. Otherwise, before we know what, we might see ourselves recycling these guys back again into the battleground. Back again into the battleground. Why am I saying that? I'm beginning to have the feeling that Boko Haram is re-strategizing. More so given its relationship now with ISIS. Look, it's better for us to take the worst scenario and use in our planning than deceive ourselves and take the weakest of our scenarios and use it in our planning. Take the worst scenario. Tell the man, look, the knife is already here. It can get into your neck at any moment. So the man begins to know what to do. Then tell him, relax.
But why do you think we have that penchant to always dismiss intelligence reports? Because this is not the first time that we'll have intelligence report and then they would come out to say, look, none of such is happening. Why do we have the penchant to always do that?
No government wants to see itself in a position of weakness. Some of us stay here to speak like this because we are trying to say, sounding off a clarion call that, look, we must wake up. There could still be a repeat situation.
So will it not help you to be stronger when you accept that, okay, look, there is intelligence report, we must act as if it's a war situation?
Yes.
Will it not help?
Yes, I tell you this. They could deny before you, but like you are saying, they are seriously acting. I trust so much the leadership of some of the security agencies, especially those in the armed forces, and the commander-in-chief. Even if they come out to say, no, this is not happening, I know they are taking all sorts of serious steps.
But you just returned.
Well, one of them spoke really, one of the officers in the Air Force, when they were chronicling the development of the exchange program, because UK is taking this seriously, knowing that, because from the report they got, the ISIS members being trained in Nigeria are usually sent to the UK to perpetrate evil there, so they are worried. And then a Nigerian official in the Air Force...
Oh, that has been revealed in Edo? I'm not even aware.
They are worried. That is the report. In fact, it was a foreign reporter that wrote that story before now, spilled into Nigeria and all that. So would you suggest, because Nobel laureates suggested at one time that it is okay to say that you are incapacitated to handle something or it's beyond you, and call for a collaboration, among these countries affected, if it's overwhelming really for our security apparatus. Do you think that will work?
Yes, of course. I believe in this synergy, like I keep saying. By now, there are certain countries' assistance we should be cutting countries with a wealth of experience fighting terrorism. Okay? Another thing we need to understand is that we must carry all our neighbors along. Why am I saying that? We are surrounded by states that are more or less failed states. When you fight terrorism and you are able to dislodge it within your own territory, they find nearby territories where they can take refuge. Okay?
But Nigeria has been collaborating with Cameroon.
Yes.
Oh.
That's why I'm saying that we must go into serious collaboration with our neighbors.
With Chad, Niger, and all the other countries.
The collaborations we have ongoing for now is not as serious as I would have loved to see it. Okay? That the Lake Chad basin military formations are there and so on. It's not, we must go into some serious relationship with them, making them understand that, look, we might be in the worst state, Nigeria. That worst state could be yours. We have what it takes to dislodge these guys with the pace at which we are going. If we dislodge them, they are coming to you. So the earlier you join hands with us now, we can completely get them out completely from the sub-region. And then we feel free.
No, right, sorry, let me
just those who were dislodged from Afghanistan, from Afghanistan, ended up where? Yemen, Syria, and so on.
Yes.
Those who were dislodged in Libya ended up where? Somalia, Burkina Faso, Mali. Failed
and now
states.
Allegedly spilling into Nigeria.
Now they are spilling into Nigeria for obvious reasons.
But again, you said you just returned from Abuja and you weren't impressed with the security measures you witnessed at the airports, both in Lagos here and Abuja. So how are you sure, in relation to the intelligence report we are talking about, how are you sure that they are taking the right steps to ensure that we do not, get ourselves predisposed to that situation?
How am I sure that who is taking the right
steps? The military,
yes.
I beg your pardon, security agencies are taking the right measures? Because you just confirmed you returned not long ago and you weren't impressed.
The point is this, you see, the Nigerian military is a very, very, very organized institution. And I can tell you, when those who should be listening, listen to us and so on, you see people taking notes and take steps and cross-check certain things. It's my constituency, I know. I know what I'm talking about. Okay? The situation at the airports, which I was saying, you see, a situation where somebody tells you, I know you are trying to respect me. Oh, Colonel, pass through, sir. For Christ's sake, this is security. What level of trust do you have on that gentleman? So if you could tell me, Colonel, pass through, sir, meaning somebody can come, he's a palmsec, oh, pass through, sir. We shall all be passing through until Boko Haram will also be passing through.
And that seems to be the major challenge.
Every individual, high or low, should be frisked and checked.
They should do their job effectively.
But then
how do you...
If I'm supposed to remove my shoes, make sure they are off.
How do you do the needful?
Check.
Colonel, how do you do the needful anyway? Bringing him back to the defense headquarters, bringing out discordant tunes when it comes to this ISIS problem Nigeria is facing. At one point, the Director of Information, Acting Director of Information, Defense Headquarters, Agim, saying that there was no cause for alarm. Nigeria was not under any form of ISIS threat. And then the Minister of Defense, Alhaji Masur Dan Ali, saying that they were aware of the ISIS threat to the country and they would act accordingly. When two authorities of the same institution are supposed to defend the integrity of the country.
It's a lack of coordination, simple. It's a lack of coordination on what they would have agreed on what to say, what to part with to the public. It's a lack of coordination, simple. That's just all.
So generally, what should the government be doing right now, knowing that the military is even overwhelmed at this point, doing the internal responsibility of the police?
Like I said, we have to make ourselves, our nation, unattractive to them completely. And that is by making sure that we come down heavily on extremisms, we come down with sanctions at every point, we stop promoting religion. I keep emphasizing that religious aspect. Government has no business with religion. When you start setting up all these pilgrim agencies to Jerusalem and to Mecca, spending money that could have been used on other things in sponsoring your personal lifestyle as far as I'm concerned. Pilgrimage is my personal thing with God. It has got nothing to do with the state.
Yeah.
So why is the state sponsoring me?
You know what you just said brought to mind what I saw online at a point that cataract is the third largest cause of blindness in the world. The first two are, one, religion, the second, politics.
Then cataract.
Then cataract.
All right, Colonel Hassan Stanlabo, retired security consultant. We thank you very much indeed for coming to share your thoughts with us, as always.
Thank you for coming.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.